to really thank trees for all that they're doing for us. And what are some ways that we can what are some ways to thank trees besides saying, thank you, trees? Yes, ma'am.
Don't litter.
Don't litter, that's true.
Water.
Yeah, we can help by watering trees. But the thing about oaks is they have evolved to be really tough. And they figured out ways that they can keep themselves alive over a long period of time without us watering. So yes, we have to water our house plants. If you have any plants, you might want to water them because if we don't pay attention, they will die. But outside, in real life, like, for example, I brought a little clip from a tree, although this is from a mature tree. You can see the leaf shape. I'll pass this around in this direction. That's a post oak tree in my yard. And what I have here for each of you is a little baby tree, just like baby birds. You have a chance, if you want one, to take one home at the end of the day. Not today, but I brought enough for each of you. And what this is a baby white oak. That was the first picture of the first slide I showed. And if you plant one of these in your yard, guess what? In a few years, you'll get birds. But even the first year, what we know from science is that the insects will find their host tree and say, thank you, and start eating the tree, eating the leaf. Because that's the very basis of life starts with plants feeding insects, and then on up the food web. And that was that slide that I shared. And if you were going to plant this, how would you do that? Has anybody ever planted one of these before? Okay, can you share it with the class?
So you have to plant it in the ground. Well, I would most likely plant it in a pot first.
That's a really great idea. That's a perfectly valid option. Put this in a pot before you have dinner tonight. That would be ideal. Because right now they're in the soil. They're quite happy. They were outside under some trees for many months. And if you have a space, if you talk to your mom or dad or whoever, and you could ask them, or maybe you already know, where a sunny spot in your yard is. Or even, did you guys know that trees talk to each other?
Yeah.
Y'all are so smart. Okay. Oh, did I say that? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, great. Well, so I guess what I would suggest is it maybe doesn't even have to be sunny spot. You could even put this under the shade of another oak tree, and they might get adopted by that mother oak and start sharing their photosynthase that she makes from having access to the sun. They usually make more than they need, and they share it with the baby trees through the fungal network in the soil. And we just learned about that over the last decade or two. And that's another scientific presentation. Has anybody heard about the mycelium network? Yeah, the mycorrhizal network, fungi, fungi. There's lots of ways to say it. But it's basically this deep mutualistic relationship that trees have with fungi under the soil that move nutrients back and forth between trees. So yes, you could put this under a tree, and what I would do is take a little garden shovel, sink it to the bottom where it's like bottomed out, pull it back and forth and create a little wedge of soil opening. And in that empty space that you just created by wrestling back and forth, you make a hole and you just drop this in to the root collar. So when it's all planted, it'll be about this much in the ground. That root collar is where you want to put it, as deep as the root collar. And then once you put it at that level, you just step on the soil and close that hole back up, and you're basically tucking it in, like it's going to bed. So you're just tucking the sheets under its shoulder. You might want to water. That's probably a good idea, and the reason to add water for the next few, maybe, I don't know, week or two, is that you want to charge the root systems with a good supply of water so they can start to, you basically, when you water a new transplant like this, you are priming the pump, because before you can suck up your favorite drink through a straw, you have to connect that straw into the drink, right? So that's what you're doing when you're watering the roots of these plants that are finding their new home. They're just getting oriented, just like you would if you got to a new place, finding out where the kitchen is, where the bathroom is. When we water these baby trees, that's what we do. We show them where the sink is, and then they get used to it, and then they can start pulling from the soil, and they start developing these relationships with the fungi. And then I think once this taproot gets plugged into the deeper soil, it will have access to the water source that even when it doesn't rain and it's dry for a whole week, it'll still be pulling water up from down deep. That's called the taproot.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So the taproot is, so if the taproot gets tangled, the tree I don't think it would survive.
That's true. That's why you gotta, I think if you use this shovel, the depth of that shovel will make a nice little crevasse or valley that you can drop the taproot down. And you can probably have it a little bit tangled. It's probably...
No, but if it's all the way tangled, it'll be it won't get to the upper part of the tree.
Yeah, and don't put it upside down either, because that could confuse it. It would have to spend a lot of energy trying to find its way around. Can I pass this out to you guys? I just want to close with my last point here is that every 2 seconds we lose a football field of trees on this planet. This is our only planet. There's nowhere else in the universe we know of that has the air that we like to breathe, the water that we like to drink, and the food that we love to eat. And yet, if we keep losing trees at this rate, that means that, oops, we just lost another football field of trees. Oops, we just lost another football field of trees. On the planet, that's the rate at which trees are being cut to make things like cities or farms. You know what I mean? So this is a local organization called Project Pando, and if you have your favorite tree company happens to be Leaf and Limb, then you'll know. Leaf and Limb started Project Pando. They're great. They really call themselves tree ecologists because they know how healthy ecosystems ought to work, and that's their mission. They started Project Pando to plant and put back 1 million trees in Raleigh for free. It's all volunteer driven. So I'm going to pass this out, and if you guys have any questions, you can go to the website, the Leaf and Limb website, and learn more about how trees, and in particular oak trees, is one of their favorites.
Do you mind if we take them and pass them out when we get back to our room?
Sure.
Just because we're going to the gym right after this.
So I guess I'll just close by saying thank you very much for listening about and learning about oak trees and asking such good questions. You guys are awesome.
Oh, are we gonna get one of those?
Yes, you're going to get one of these before you leave school today, I think. The teachers are going to work with you on that. And you might even get an art project a little later about, you can draw something that you learned today about oak trees. But I showed you some examples. Last question, and then I think you'll have to go.
So I have 2 things. So on the slide you showed us, did you draw those?
Yes, thank you. I did mention I was an artist, so thank you.
Did you use Procreate?
You mean no, I just used colored pencils, and I used this ballpoint ink right here on white paper, and then I colored it in.
And did you know blue jays can be either really sweet or really nice? They can't be in the middle because they can really sweet or really mean, because when they're mean, sometimes they can go in other birds' nests.
I think that is such a great point. I think all of us can have really kindness inside of us and some meanness inside of us, just like birds. And I think the key is to try to focus on our good side and focus on, appreciating birds, for example, and doing things that are healthy, that make us happy, like eating a healthy diet, or taking a walk in the woods, or having some connection with a plant, even if it's just a house plant. Don't forget to water it, things like that.
have this tree.